donating 5 snowmobiles to the city of Buffalo to add to our snow fighting operations in the Buffalo Fire Department and the Buffalo Police Department. The snowmobiles have been delivered, and we are here to present them to the community, demonstrating the upgrade to our equipment and vehicles for this upcoming winter season. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Jeremy Jacobs Jr., the CEO of Delaware North.
Thank you, Mayor. It may not be known to many, but Delaware North is actually the largest snowmobile tour company in America. And so, as you might imagine, we have a few sleds. And Buffalo's our home. We want to see our neighbors safe, and we want to give first responders access to them, particularly in times like the snow emergency we experienced last year. So it's a no-brainer for us, and it's no biggie. We're happy to do it for you, and we hope it makes people safer in our community.
We'll open up to media questions, and then we're going to have Father Paul Seil of our fire department chaplain, who will bless the vehicles.
Mr. Jacobs, if you would.
Mr. Jacobs?
I'm a newbie.
That's okay. If you would, just walk us through the backstory here. How did this come to be?
So I'm actually wearing a vest that I finally got from our guys. But we run a snowmobile company in outside of Vail, Colorado, and it's actually spectacular. It's 200 miles of groomed trails, access to the national forest land. It's called Camp Hale. It's actually a national monument at this point. But we have there, or in total system, over close to 500 snowmobiles, and every 2 years we replace them. These machines are 1 year old. So we decided to pull them out of the fleet early and give them to the city, who I think really could use them. Yes. And help our community. I mean, I think we all sat last year at home, and luckily for us, we were safe, but we watched on TV what was happening in the city, and I thought, we can do something about that. We have these machines. It's an easy thing for us to do. We should do it. We want to see the people of our community safe.
So who maintains that, and how did you sell them to the city?
We just pulled them out of inventory and gave them to the city.
And who will maintain them? Is it on Delaware North's behalf, or is it the city's responsibility?
I think the city has shown us that they have somebody in place to make sure the maintenance is good. As you know, they need to be working when the time comes, right? And these machines have been to the top of the Continental Divide. These are good machines. I rode one of them myself. So they're working, they're good, and they should deliver when the time comes.
If I heard you correctly, you say you replace our snowmobile every 2 years. You said these were a year old. Does that mean the city will have to replace them by next year?
No, these won't see the kind of use that they see in our system. Ours are used every day, pretty much throughout the winter. Actually, sometimes twice a day. So these will last. And honestly, again, if they need replacements, it's not going to be a problem.
How quickly did you want to jump in? You mentioned sitting at home watching the snow. A lot of us were out reporting on it. It was devastating for this city and for so many towns across Erie County.
Well, the phone lines were burning between the executives of our company saying, "This is crazy. We have these machines. Let's get it done." And nick of time, right? There's snow readiness right now. So, we're happy to do it. Glad the biggest issue is getting them here.
I wonder, a donation like this is obviously a big deal. Why couldn't the city buy them?
Budgets are always stretched. Budgets are always tight. Delaware North coming forward on their own, we didn't request that they donate the snowmobiles. They made the offer, and we're certainly very happy that Delaware North offered to donate these snowmobiles to the city of Buffalo, because it does save us the expense of buying them.
If not for Delaware North, would you have purchased 5 snowmobiles?
We already had 2. We would have purchased more, but so we're very thankful that Delaware North saw a need in the community They are a very successful company with a national and international footprint, and them making the decision all on their own to donate the snowmobiles is helpful to the city and its residents.
In terms of the donation, were you able to buy new gear? Were you able to buy other gear because Delaware North donated these snowmobiles?
Certainly, Delaware North donating these snowmobiles gives us the ability to put resources in other critical places.
Now, just because that these snowmobiles were not in the budget plan, did you at least put maintenance that some of these new snowmobiles will need into the budget?
Yes, maintenance is always in our budget on an annual basis. As you can see, we are in a Buffalo Fire Department garage. Maintenance is done here in this facility. Some of the people that conduct the maintenance, that manage the maintenance, are here right now. So one of the things that we always have to do with the fleet of city vehicles is maintain them every single year.
So how will they be used? What is the plan for these snowmobiles?
I'm going to have the fire commissioner and maybe the police commissioner if they want to respond to that.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, number one, thank you to Delaware North for donating these resources. Just another tool in our toolbox, and a very important tool. They'll be used they're very versatile machines. You know, they're great machines. Used for a variety of missions: search and rescue, recon. Look at narrow roads, some of our narrower streets. Go down there and see what kind of accessibility we have, and they can communicate back to our leadership and know whether these other streets can be accessible or accessed. So this gives us greater freedom of movement, which is what we obviously want. But also be able to retrieve patients, victims, and transport them short distances to a waiting ambulance or to one of our apparatus.
How critical would these have been last year during the blizzard?
They would have been very helpful. So some of our surrounding areas, obviously the county and the state, they have access and they have snowmobiles as well. So to have a greater number of our own is great. I heard the earlier question about maintaining them, that kind of thing. How many would we want to have, and all sorts of things. So obviously we're going to maintain them. They're great machines. Our mechanics have already gone through them, cleaned them up. They're ready to go. That kind of thing. They're going to get stickered up, and pretty soon we're going to be pre-positioned throughout the city.
That was my next question. So there are 9 track vehicles, it looks like, in this garage here. Is this all the city has?
No, that's a great question. Well, I'll just walk you through everything pretty much. This is kind of a sampling of what we've done, since the November and December blizzard. Actually, our frontline apparatus, our larger apparatus, they were ordered prior to the November storm. So in the back, our larger piece of apparatus, aerial platform, we just took delivery of that. That's a $1.8 million machine, like 2 days ago. That's going to Ladder 5, which is in Larkerville, and they're co-located with Engine 32 on Seneca and Swan. This past February, we took possession of another machine, another aerial platform similar to this one. That's already in service. And
Commissioner, if I could, talk about this track vehicle, how many additional track vehicles you have coming, and Commissioner, please do the same.
Sure. So lastly, on our frontline vehicles, to tie that up, we also had a new pumper that was just dedicated recently, just under a month ago, in Jason Arnone's name, and that's Engine 2 over in Elmwood, Virginia. So you see a sampling. We have 1 UTV was just delivered yesterday. We have 3 more on the way. Obviously, you'll see that we have the 5 snowmobiles that were donated by Delaware North, 2 of our own snowmobiles, and an ATV track vehicle. So the UTVs and the track vehicles also can be changed over to wheeled vehicles, and so they'll be used throughout the year. We also have 4 trailers coming as well, and these trailers are large enough to fit a UTV, one of the UTVs, and a snowmobile on, and we can transport them and pre-position them in different areas of the city.
You talked about pre-positioning. Where will each of these machines, these snow fighting machines or snow machines, where will each of these be pre-positioned?
Well, basically north, south, east, and west. So at least have 1 in each corner of the city. But based on the weather service reports, things of that nature, a lot of times we get hit more heavily in South Buffalo, or the southern part of the city. So we may pre-position them, maybe 2 of these machines instead of 1 in South Buffalo, and leave the rest in reserve.
And when do we expect to see those 3 other UTVs arrive?
Actually, within the next 2 weeks, they'll be here.
The goal was by the end of November, just
Yes.
on the equipment, there's a long list. We've sent it to multiple stations. We'll send it out again. The long list of fire equipment, we will email that out and send that out again. Anything else
Let's have
on
the
snowmobiles?
commissioner just comment on his UTVs.
Yeah, just on the other equipment, so we're in the process of getting 6 UTVs similar to this. We have one that we're buying through asset forfeiture drug money. That order is going out, so there's a bid process. They're on state bid. And then using state Homeland Security funds that we get every year, we got a pretty significant increase to our funding this year. We're going to use money out of that to purchase 5 more. So we're going to have 6 of these. The intended purpose of these is to use them all year round. Of course, we're going to get them with the tracks if we need to use them for snow emergencies. But in the having the wheels on them, I plan to use them at festivals, the rails to trails, like other places, Delaware Park, things that locations that police cars have a little more trouble getting to. So we wanted to get these so that we can use them 365 days a year and get a lot more use out of them.
Anyone else? All right, we're going to do the blessing. Father? Just let me just give a second so the cameras can set. But I'll do want to come to the mic. I will. That'd be great. Just for a second.
Oh, you're saying something. I'm
You want-
sorry.
I-
I'm trying to
I
move it
don't
out of your
have to
way.
say anything.
Go ahead, Father.
I just want to take a moment as we're about to embark on this week of National Thanksgiving. I want to give thanks for, obviously, this equipment, this wonderful city of Buffalo and Western New York, but also in a particular way, I want to remember a man who died in performing his duties in the Public Works Department. Michael Muscarella died a year ago. In front of Timon High School, he was hit by a piece of equipment. And I just want to remember him this week because Thursday's the first anniversary of that event. Sometimes perhaps we lose contact with certain memories because greater events happen afterwards, but I know his family still remembers him and his co-workers in the city of Buffalo. Last year during the blizzard, I was evacuated from the rectory at Our Lady of Perpetual Help by a kind, I don't know who it was, but someone from Elma Snowmobile Club. So I'm really glad to see these. He took me to Jack Keller, a Buffalo firefighting engineer, and I spent Christmas on the Cotter. It's a beautiful boat, but I don't want to do it again, you know? So, but when we bless something, when we use water and symbols, for those who may not be of the same belief that I am, it certainly represents an outpouring of goodness, of grace. This fire truck will never be more pristine and clean than it is today. You know, even the tires are dressed. But the hardworking men and women of the Buffalo Fire Department and the Buffalo Police Department will certainly put all of this equipment to good use. The beautiful new truck behind me, every time we dedicate or bless a truck or an engine or a piece of apparatus, Commissioner Ronaldo reminds me of me blessing it after it's in its first motor vehicle collision. So I want to say that I can only bless the vehicles. I can't control the drivers, okay? So we pray, O loving and gracious God, protect your family, your civil servants, your people who serve the community in the city of Buffalo. We ask you to continue to pour out your goodness upon us, and may we always give thanks to you. For these machines are the work of human hands, but your hand, O gracious God, is the one who holds us in care and love. And so we pray that you, who have the whole world in your hands, will continue to help us to help one another. And we ask this of you, loving God, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen.
Again, just saw the blessing of the 5 snowmobiles donated by Delaware North companies and the blessing of the UTV for the fire department and the blessing of the aerial pumper truck for the Buffalo Fire Department. Again, I want to thank Jeremy Jacobs Jr., the CEO of Delaware North Companies, and all of the folks at Delaware North for their generosity and their support of the city's storm response effort. Now it is my pleasure to introduce 2 new employees that have joined the city of Buffalo. James J. Cross, the city's new fleet manager, and Thomas Luby, the city's new emergency services manager, both that will be instrumental in responding to snow events, extreme weather events in the city of Buffalo. Both gentlemen will work closely with the fire department, the police department, the public works department, and the Department of Administration and Finance and other departments throughout the city of Buffalo. This is their first week on the job. They have already hit the ground running, been given an introduction to all of the various departments that they will be working with, and so it is my pleasure to introduce them today to the community. We will give the media the opportunity to ask any of your preliminary questions of Mr. Luby and Mr. Cross.
Mr. Luby, Mr. Cross, the first thing that comes to my mind is about residents and side streets. Buffalo has a lot of them. So, how are you guys going to go and plan to tackle those side streets that's like off of and often are the last streets from the side streets.
I think that's more a DPW function. Nate, come to the.
I mean, with the residential side street protocol, we've got to keep those main primary thoroughfares open first, right? So if you get people off the side streets and they get jammed up in the mains, you can't move around. So we have that plan to transition to the side streets when we've got those mains kind of clear and get a handle on those. You can't lose a handle on the main thoroughfares. So we hit those first, and then we transition as soon as we can. Certainly we've got that goal of the 24 hours after that snow stops. It's outlined in our plan to get to the residentials, and that is our goal. But we can't hit those first without making sure the main thoroughfares are clear.
So when you eventually get to the side streets and stuff, what about those abandoned cars? Do you have like these cars on the side of the road as well?
Yeah, so the cars that are abandoned because they get stuck in the snow or maybe left there by residents, that is a challenge for us. It's a big challenge. We had challenges in last year's storm. So, our ask for the help of our community is to please pay attention to the weather that's coming. Have your car parked on the right side of the road. Do not go out if there's a driving ban, certainly in bad weather and inclement weather, so you can get stuck. It prevents not only DPW from clearing the streets, but our emergency personnel from being able to get to those residents easily. So some cooperation is always the best thing from a city perspective, but it's a challenge if there are abandoned cars.
How do you get that message out to people to do that?
Yeah, and so in terms of communication, like we did last year and as we've outlined in the plan, a stronger sense of communication of what our issues are in the city, when the storm's coming, what we're asking our residents to do to help us. So very clear communication about severity of storms, what we might expect. We all know there's a hint of something next week, so as weather forecasts progress, we will be communicating to the public across all the channels. We have Buffalo, we've got traditional media, we've got social media outlets, and in extreme cases, we've got the iPod system now that we'll use in communication. So a number of those different elements we'll use to communicate to the public.
Mr. Luby, according to you,
Yeah.
glad that you're with us from downstate. A native to New York City, man, I assume. Is that
Yeah.
where you're from?
Well, yeah, I lived in the city and then I moved upstate.
Buffalo winters are very different than perhaps downstate. And with snow on the way, some meteorologists are calling for a significant snowfall in the coming week around Thanksgiving and holiday. What can we expect to see in terms of emergency management?
Well, right now we're currently monitoring what is coming out from the National Weather Service. We're looking at what they're saying. They're coming out on a regular briefing reports on a regular schedule. We're evaluating what they're saying. And then we make the decision based on what comes out, what is being said. And we can have that, also have that dialogue with the meteorologist to get a little bit more fine-tuned information or more particulars. And then we address it with the best plan of action.
So you talk about hitting the ground running.
Yes, sir.
What's being done right now?
Right now, meaning in reference to the potential storm?
Absolutely.
We're constantly, right now, all we're doing is monitoring because it's not really too clear what path it may or may not travel. And we're in communication with the meteorologists who know how to interpret this, look at the various modeling that goes on with the storm, and then we make that appropriate decision.
So is there any repositioning at this point, or?
No,
I can.
you can do that.
I can speak to that, yeah. No, thanks. And it's good questions, right? Trying to be prepared in advance. So regular communications, as Tom said, with National Weather Service and other meteorological activities. Communication with the county. So I was in connection with the county this morning. Commissioner Geary and I are in regular contact. Our private contractors we are connecting with. This is way early in advance. So the idea is, if it is a major storm, let's get out in front of it. So we're having those conversations about pre-positioning. So the question about where will these be positioned, it's as we get closer to the storm, we'll know where it's going to hit. So it may be needed to be distributed further, or maybe a tight distribution. But we'll look to pre-position snow clearing, certainly equipment, and also rescue equipment.
Mr.
So.
Libby, you spent several decades in the New York City Fire Department. I'm so used to talking to the commissioner over there.
That's okay.
So how will that experience translate to this job? A lot of people might say you were a captain of a fire department. What does that have to do with planning for snow?
Believe it or not, we would have various nor'easters and different events where snow did impact the services of central services. And you still had to work around it. We activated the Emergency Operations Center. We also had the Incident Management Team activated to act. So lessons learned from there, even though it's the city, and when the city gets hit pretty bad. And then what is done up here is an equal. You can mesh the both points together and bring the best practice or lessons learned from each side.
I grew up in Connecticut, so I understand the whole nor'easter thing too, and I know the times when the city was getting slammed, using the garbage trucks to get the snow out, all that.
Correct.
How will you implement some of those tactics that maybe you've used in New York City that maybe we could use up here in Buffalo, even though we probably consider ourselves the snow, king of New York, right?
Well, at such time when it's deemed necessary, when we need to activate the Emergency Operations Center, right? All the agency representatives will be there. There'll be a set of incident objectives that each agency will put on the table and force their mission. The incident objectives will drive the incident from response all the way back to resumption of services. Through that process, there will be, through the incident itself, there may or may not be unique circumstances where we're going to have to combine resources from the various groups, where we will combine a task force or a strike team to better accommodate and give a better approach to that issue until it's resolved and whatnot. We will be receiving incoming requests on resource orders, and we will also be connecting with our mutual aid partners and stuff like that. So the EOC is going to facilitate and manage, and then the information will come back from the field in and make those strategic decisions.
What
Mr.
happens?
James, I'd like to ask you a question.
One question, can we just stay with Tom first? Let's go
Come in.
through Tom.
What happened with the blizzard last year? A lot of our emergency response was paralyzed just because of the storm itself, the severity, the whiteout conditions, and this was not only in Buffalo but other towns too. What do you do in that situation? Because in another snowstorm, you might have better visibility, you might be able to get the fire truck out, you might be able to get something out. How do you work in the worst case scenario, which I think we had last year?
Going forward, right, that has occurred. There was an after-action report that was completed. There's a lot of information of good solid nuggets that were in there. It was written fairly well. I'm going to take those lessons learned, and then as the condition starts to sort of emulate or gets close to where we got to go, we can use those lessons learned and then apply them and then alter them or shape them to fit what is the current storm, and then address those specific conditions, like you speak to whiteout, how we can operate. That can be done in a tabletop on the side, right? There'll be other emergency or severe weather tabletops that will be conducted. Those are the things, or we do it as a work group. We talk through what was the best narrative, right? So you got to be very flexible, very scalable.
Mr. Libby, Mr. Libby, you mentioned tabletops. We are a week away from what could be a major storm. Have you tabletopped this storm in particular?
With all due respect, I just started Monday. We are moving as fast as we can. We're communicating and talking with the various commissioners, trying to get a lay of land, and we'll go from there. It'll be something to schedule.
But you hit the ground running.
Yeah, we hit it very running hard.
Mr. Luke, let's say it does, hit on Thanksgiving, which it could. We don't know yet. And let's say it turns out Buffalo is, the bullseye. Can you explain what your role will be in a storm? Like, what happens? What would you do as an emergency services coordinator?
You want to take that, Nate? So, bottom line is that we're going to facilitate. We're going to have these conference calls. We'll be on the conference calls with our neighboring jurisdictions, neighboring counties, et cetera. We're going to have an internal conference call to set up what is our planning, pre-planning going to be, what pre-positioning or staging, what each agency is going to participate or bring to the table per se. We're going to set up a planning component to do a timeline. The Emergency Operations Center will be open, probably started being a time-phased activation point to go from a light all the way to a full activation. But through that whole process, there'll be multiple conference calls and other informational sharing internally and externally with our partners so that everyone's on the same page so we know what the neighboring jurisdictions are doing and what everyone else is doing. So there's no surprise rule per se.
One more question for Mr. Luby before we get to Mr. Cross.
Talk about the tabletop.
Yeah, just your question about tabletop, which I think is a great question. So obviously with Mr. Luby starting this week, first week, so we've been participating as a city in tabletops. I think many of you covered this, the FEMA exercise. We had a tabletop down at the convention center a couple weeks ago. City departments here and others participated in that, along with county and state, and again led by FEMA. We had a tabletop 2 Fridays ago as well, led by the state itself out at UB, county officials, other municipalities. So we have been tabletopping, and those scenarios are based on worst case, right? So what is potentially anticipated, and then thinking a little bit worse than that. So we've had those tabletops to prepare.
Let me just follow up then. So are you confident that if this was a significant storm as perhaps being forecast, are you confident in your response at this point, now working with an emergency manager who is facilitating and overseeing all of this response?
Certainly, we're very comfortable and I can let the mayor speak for the city, but we're very comfortable as a city. So I'll say that right here in center with Tom being on board. But our team preparation ahead of this has been constant from last winter through the summer. The tabletops, the preparation, the equipment, the thought process, the coordination with the county. So we've been doing that all along. This is a great another tool to add to our team to support emergencies. So.
Mr. Mayor, maybe I can follow up with you in this case. Thank you. The Common Council is yet to pass the snow plan for this year. At this point, I assume without having that passed, we would have to defer then to last year's snow plan, which doesn't have an emergency manager in it. In fact, there are very few action items related to what was the worst blizzard that we've seen in decades. How does the emergency manager fall into a plan then in terms of city response without having that person and their responsibilities listed in the overall plan?
Thank you. That is a great question. Actually, by the city charter, the council does not have to pass the snow plan. There is no requirement for the council to approve the snow plan. The only requirement in the city charter is for the administration of city government to file the snow plan. The provision of a snow plan for city government started in 1985. It was placed in the city charter in 2000, and all it requires the city administration to do is simply file the plan with the city council. So there is no approval authority that the city council has currently over the snow plan. So the new snow plan that we filed with the council is in effect, including the work of the emergency manager and the fleet manager working with all of the relevant departments.
Mr. Luby, can I ask you one final question? You talk about lessons learned. You're an outsider coming in. You read, I'm sure, several of the post reports of the storms from last year. What were your takeaways? What were your things that you learned or things that you want to implement? Your lessons learned?
There's so many that I would spend a lot of time, but I could say is that what was written in there was written very fairly, written well. They're remarked. I identify what they are. So when I sit down with the various components, the various representatives, those tough questions will be asked, like, help me understand this, right? Peel the onion back. I was not there. This is what it said. So what's the thing that really occurred? But in the document it says this, which is good. But what really was the backstory, so to speak, right? Everyone has a story to tell, but without knowing the operational constraints or communication, whatever it may be, right? We want to know why, right? Those questions I will be asking, so that I become better educated and experienced, and we can learn from that and move forward.
Any example of that?
There's too many, man.
One
Um,
simple example of that?
I guess coordination would probably be the biggest one, right? The coordination, it takes a lot. Based on experience and everything like that, coordination is very key. You're juggling a lot of chainsaws simultaneously, and other things are coming in. Very high stressful, not just for yourself, but all the other team members. Yes, you do keep track. You have things that are unmet, etc. But the coordination and the follow-up, because things can get slipped, even though you could be the best accountability person, it still has a tendency.
Mr. Luby, can you just walk us through what the interview process was like? Did you ever meet with the Common Council, and who ultimately hired you?
So the interview process started with it was a national search. It was on one of the job boards. I looked at my experience. I looked at what they were looking for. I said, it looks like a good match. I'm in, right? I see it as a great opportunity. I see it as a great challenge to give them what they're looking for. And also, too, I was a little bit familiar with the area. My middle daughter, we came up here in 2018. She went to Buffalo State. Since that time, she has become a resident of the city. She's also a teacher. She's also taken her master's, continuing in Buffalo State. So I have family here also. So it's the best of both worlds. So we went through, got notified. I had to go through a couple-step process. Finally interviewed with the board. Successfully passed. They had challenging questions, and then we spoke with the mayor. And then recently we had little one-on-ones with the Common Council.
Let me. Go ahead. So both Mr. Luby and Mr. Cross have been introduced to council members. Council members have had the opportunity to sit with them, ask them questions. But the hiring process for both of these positions, the emergency manager, the fleet manager, are conducted by the administration of city government. And the ultimate authority in that hiring process is the mayor of the city of Buffalo. So the fleet manager, the emergency manager are part of the administration in city government. And as you all know, the council is the legislative branch of government. So all of the operations of city government are conducted by the administration of city government.
So just so I'm clear, are you saying that the city council had no say in who was hired?
No, by city charter, the city council does not hire these positions. The administration of city government hires these positions, just like the council doesn't hire the public works commissioner, the administration commissioner, the fire commissioner, the director of public policy. Those positions all come under the administration of city government. Obviously, we want the council's input. We want to work closely with our city council. As you all know, the emergency manager position was something that the council felt was needed. I leaned more heavily toward the fleet manager position. Working with the council, we determined that we would fund both positions in the city budget. And so we're very pleased through national searches to have been able to select an emergency services manager and a fleet manager.
Right now, it's time for Mr. Cross to come up and take a couple of questions. New fleet manager, James Cross.
Similar question. What is, just on the camera here, what is your prior experience that made you qualified to be the fleet manager of Buffalo?
That's a great question. I first started off with Monroe Brake and Tire. I learned a lot about preventative maintenance, and I think that's a key aspect of dealing with fleet assets, fleet vehicles. you have to have a timetable on when you need to get rid of them, when you need to fix them, when you need to purchase new ones. That's the biggest thing with Monroe. And AAA helped me with leadership, helped me with budgeting, purchasing vehicles, leading men and women. I feel like I'm very well set for this position, and I'm excited about it.
We talk about repositioning a lot with equipment. How will you be involved in that process of repositioning the gear and your coordination, I'm sure, with the emergency services manager?
No, I definitely plan on working closely with him. He is the teammate that I think I'm going to work the closest with. We're going to look at the vehicles first. I'm going to want to inventory. I want to get an accurate inventory of the vehicles that are in the city of Buffalo. Once I do that, I plan on looking at things that need to be replaced, looking at things that need to be bought, and continuing the preventative maintenance schedule that the city already has in place for the vehicles that we're using.
Mr. Cross, it's really interesting that you're here at this time as fleet manager because a lot of, snow aside, a lot of firefighters here in the city of Buffalo say the equipment is in shambles. You've heard the mayor say that there are budget problems. How do you respond to those problems?
Well, I mean, I just started 2 days ago, so
What are your thoughts?
Well, excuse me?
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are we're going to evaluate the vehicles, and we're going to purchase new vehicles if needed, and we're going to go what works best for the city of Buffalo. So if the fire department needs new vehicles, I'm sure we're going to work towards getting new
And
vehicles.
if I could just,
Sure.
on that question, Ed, just a clarification, not saying that they're budget problems, but we always have to be mindful of the city budget. And unfortunately, just like any other budget, your household budget, your small businesses budget, you can't do everything that you'd like to do because there are never enough resources to do everything. So what the fleet manager will help us do system-wide, working with all of the city departments that purchase vehicles, is determine the most urgent purchases that we can afford to make, working with our finance commissioner, Delano Dowell. We don't agree with that characterization that the fire fleet is in shambles. And we have consistently been purchasing and upgrading fire equipment. And as you can see, there's a new vehicle behind us. There are other vehicles that we've rolled out in the last few weeks. So that argues against those comments of the fleet being in shambles. Now, we understand that all of our employees want to have equipment that is in good working order, that can handle the job that they needed to do. But again, we have to weigh all of that against what the city can afford to spend. So we feel that our fire fleet, our police fleet, our public works fleet is in good shape. Would we like to be able to buy more equipment? Absolutely. Does the donation of these snow plows from Delaware North help us in stretching our dollars further? 100%. But we feel like we are in good shape. We have more equipment than we had last winter. Equipment that we've listed in the snow plan is all in good or excellent working order, and so we feel ready to go.
So, Mr. Mayor, is it safe to say that, our past winter storms and snow blizzards and things like that, well, I won't say snow blizzards, but past winter storms and past snowfalls have really made a negative impact onto the city's budget or anything like that? Because we had to call them for extra reinforcement and stuff.
Well, and Commissioner Dowell can speak to this, but when you look at last year alone, just the historic November storm and the once-in-a-generation December blizzard, the additional unbudgeted cost of those storms exceeded $10 million. So whenever you are spending an unanticipated additional $10 million, it does put some stress on your budget.
Any more questions for Mr. Cross?
Mr. Cross, could you explain, fleet manager is a new position, right? And it is part of the snow plan your role would be in an emergency? Let's say there is a blizzard next week. What would you be doing?
Be coordinating the use of the vehicles, making sure that the vehicles are in working order, coordinating with Mr. Luby, basically just being there as a teammate to make sure we have vehicles to take care of the weather.
Mr. Preston, I want to follow up on one of my questions. You talk about doing inventory of all of the equipment here in the city
Yes,
of
sir.
Buffalo. When can we expect that inventory to be done?
Oh, I plan on doing that within the next couple weeks. That is going to be something that we're going to do immediately.
And can I respond to that too?
Yes, sir.
So, in each of our city departments with vehicles, we already have an inventory of those vehicles. Public Works, Fire, Police. We have employees in each of those departments that handle maintenance of the vehicles. What Mr. Cross will do is then review all of that, make sure everything is in order. Look at repair cycles, look at purchase cycles, all of those things. As he said in winter, he will be a teammate with all of the departments that respond, looking at the responsiveness and the effectiveness of our vehicles and identifying, if we need to purchase something new in DPW or fire or police because the vehicle was not as responsive as we wanted it to be, and if a vehicle breaks down, what we need to do working with those different departments to get that vehicle back in service as quickly as possible.
So one more question, last question, you got it.
My
Keelan, go ahead.
question for you, Mr. Cross, is that, since you are coming in and you are looking at this winter preparedness plan, do you see are you worried about anything within the plan? Do you feel confident with it? Any challenges or anything like that?
No, I'm confident. I mean, we purchased new vehicles, we maintenance the vehicles that needed to be maintenance. I know we're going to be prepared for whatever weather comes our way.
Mr. Mayor, can you, I have a topic question for you.
Can we do that?
Thank you, everybody, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.